Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of our Fireside Chat series. Today, I've got a special guest. I'm very excited to sit down with Amit Walia. Amit is the CEO of Informatica, and those of you that have been in the AI practice for a while will recognize that name. We've had a partnership with, frankly, I call them our friends at Informatica for over 20 years. You don't see marriages last that long. The fact that our partnership has lasted that long is a wonderful thing. So the last 20 years have been fantastic. We've been working together on all sorts of evolutions of the data space, data maturity, data quality, governance, master data, and now into more interesting things, specifically in the field of AI and digital transformation. Amit's led Informatica's evolution into an AI-powered cloud data management leader. Very, very few companies have actually made that transition. So, Amit, first off, congratulations on leading your firm over that jump into that new horizon. Fantastic to see this from the outside. And I know I'm looking forward to diving deeper into the journey today. So welcome to this conversation.
Well, Naveen, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and a big hello wherever you are to the larger Cognizant team. I know you're a globally distributed team, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. It's actually my privilege to be here. You said it very well. I mean, look, marriages don't these days last that long. Although I've been married more than that now. This year is my 25th, so it's a privileged year for me for my marriage, and of course this partnership for just 20 years. And you know what is amazing for me, Naveen, is that, and I've known you for a while, and I've known Cognizant for a very long time, is that in some ways we've been very similar in our trajectory. I mean, you're a very successful company, and Cognizant has led the way in many industry trends, in going from trends to trends to trends and constantly evolving and innovating. And we've done the same thing. 30 years of Informatica have been basically going from this tiny company that had one product and probably had every reason to not succeed, coined this term ETL, which, by the way, is a blessing and a curse. And then from ETL as a feature to a product to becoming a multi-product to becoming a subscription to a cloud-only company. And now in the world of AI, being an AI-led company has been a transformation of epic proportions. And we'll get into that at some point. So I'm privileged and honored to be here, my 11th year in the company, 6th as a CEO. And obviously, it's been a truly gratifying transformation. And very importantly, really, really thankful to how we've collectively worked together to help each other and, very importantly, help our customers in this process. So thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to it.
Oh, fantastic. And look, this will be a conversation, right? This is we've got some people thinking questions already, so we'll keep this as fluid as we can.
Sure.
Now, you're I think the third CEO of Informatica that I've had the chance to work with, and all strong, fascinating, strong leaders, going back to Sohaib and then Anil, and of course you, for the last 6 years. And it's been such an interesting ride that you folks have had. I touched on this already. You've led more than the other folks. You've led Informatica through that transformation into becoming an AI-powered cloud platform company that does data management, but not just data management, not just ETL. You've really broadened the aperture through which you help enterprises. I think you might be one of the first, or not the first company to actually make that switch at scale from being, legacy on-prem to a true SaaS model company now. Could you share with us a little bit about, key moments or decisions, things that stand out as you look back on that journey?
Sure. I think it's a great question. And I'll begin with, look, Rome wasn't built in a day. So in some ways, sometimes people think that it's overnight transitions, but you have to kind of almost go back in time and strategically make some big bets. And for us, it goes back. I remember back in 2015, we were a public company. We had gone private. And I was the head of products that time. And I think I had this belief, and I think we made this bet that, look, if you play out the world of digital transformation, and there was no AI back in the days then, a couple of things will come true. One is that the world basically will do a lot more with data. It's not just growth of data. So which means that for us, many, many more use cases, many, many more products and a bigger TAM. So that means we have to build many more things than we ever had before. Second was my belief that our market is supremely fragmented. You guys see it. There's like hundreds and hundreds of point providers. And organizations, enterprises in the long run will want few, and they always bet on platform providers. So as we build for the new, basically, let's be a best of breed, build the best products, but be the platform provider. And the third bet was, look, the world will be cloud first, but will forever be hybrid. And hybrid, but it will be ground and cloud. And in today's world, it'll be multi-cloud. So those are
Yeah.
the big bets we made. And we went down that path. In 2018, we made another bet. And I think people talk about Gen AI now. And as AI was in its early days in the data world, that look, we basically launched our AI Claire at Informatica World in May 2018. I launched that. And our belief was that AI will transform the world, but it takes some time for AI to hone. And we took all of the machine learning algorithms that the world was used in consumer world, like photo tagging on Facebook, recommendations on Amazon, and said we'll curate it for data world. So we made those bets. You see product, technology, strategic bets. And then after I became CEO, I realized that look, the world is going towards cloud. We had innovated in the world of cloud, but we were still, customers wanted our on-prem and we were still doing that. Let's just completely go cloud because AI will be app only value creating in the world of cloud. So we basically decided to stop selling anything on-prem, 100% to the cloud. And we made our entire cloud platform consumption-based pricing, removed the friction of selling. You buy one unit of Informatica's platform, IDMC, Intelligent Data Management Cloud, you get to use every product. That was a game changer because, in the world of old days, it's complicated. You buy every product, you sell everything, and then, you guys come and help us implement those things and create value. So we eliminated that friction and we went public again in 21. And since then, to give you a sense, and I'll stop after that. So those were pivotal moments along the way. And when we made this decision in 2023, Jan, 100% cloud only consumption driven, that was a very, very important point. We actually gave up on premise revenue, gave up. We were not selling anything. And we said we're going to reduce that business over time, move those customers to cloud and only grow cloud. And to summarize that journey, in 2015, if you go back in time, our cloud business was basically zero. And along the way, we started building, but it takes time to scale cloud. We've guided this year our cloud business to be $1 billion in revenue. So in 10 years, we've built $1 billion revenue business, not market cap. And the first couple of years are almost close to zero to 20, 30, 40. And that's what we're proud of. We're obviously bringing down the other businesses. At some point, they'll never be zero, but they'll be insignificant. But we built $1 billion revenue company by making these strategic bets, bold bets in which you had to give up something, but have conviction to where you're going. And now here we are with Gen AI driving most of our use cases.
Fascinating, and I think you're so spot on in terms of the boldness needed to make those bets. I think is probably the thing because I cannot imagine walking away. Business pressures are there for all of us. Walking away from, I'm saying no to on-prem. I'm going to move my market-facing offerings to only be on the cloud. I'm going to change my comp models for my sellers. I'm going to pivot my product engineering work. All of that, and you've executed really well. I think your team's done a fantastic job. So I think that's been fascinating to watch. You spoke about AI though, and I do recall you were ahead of the curve with Claire back in 2018. Not too many companies were talking about AI. That was for those of us that were around. That was a little bit of one of those mini winters. Google had decided to shut down their AI work. You folks were one of the ones that were swimming upstream saying, no, we think there's a future. Fast forward to the last Informatica World Conference. And your team had a very interesting line that stuck with me. It said, everybody's ready for AI except your data. And I think that's fascinating. We see this day in and day out, right? Our global 2000 client base, they all want to talk about AI. And then the minute you turn around and go like, okay, let's get started. How's the data looking? You sort of see the air leave the room as fast as you can. So tell us how you're seeing the evolution in the last few months with your clients in the world of data and AI.
Sure. And before I go there, I'll take one minute of detour to go back. I think I want to acknowledge also in this journey, the honest and candid relationship we've had with Cognizant to you. And look, as we were rebuilding, rightfully so, we had to prove ourselves to the market, right? Because nobody just kind of said, okay, fine, I believe you. And to be candid, as you said, there is more psychological belief that a startup will innovate than you're a legacy player. Your ability to innovate is zero because legacy players don't innovate. And rightfully so, most of them don't. There are a handful of us who've done, so it's hard. But I tell you, kudos that even in those difficult days, you gave us very candid feedback. Sometimes the feedback was something we didn't like to hear, but you gave us honest feedback. Here is what the customers are telling us. And and to me, that has always been very important because look, I say that to my own teams, I say that to my own kids. The best feedback you can get is self feedback. And if you can get honest feedback, you at least can do something with it. If you get fake feedback, you're going to do wrong stuff with it. So even in those days, I appreciated the candor of the feedback because actually it propelled us to get better, do better. So
I
appreciate
remember a
that.
couple of those conversations, so I can absolutely relate. But yes, I
and
appreciate
even
that.
and even today I say that, and every time I met, I guess I ask the question, what are customers talking about us? Because that's the honor. Because when we are not in the room, they can be even more honest, right? So thank you for that. It made us better to be better. Coming to where you are now, I think, look, I genuinely believe that, look, if you look at the world of AI, and I begin with this, what's the value of an LLM? LLM by itself is like an empty database or an empty Excel workbook. It only gets better when you put something in it. In an Excel workbook, you put some data in it and you start seeing the power of Excel. Or in a database, you put data and do something from it. So same as an LLM by itself creates no value. It creates value when you actually pair it with data. And the moment you think about data in the current world, an LLM, if the promise of the Gen AI is that it will do something for us, it'll create output for us like a human. Boy, oh boy, then that data has a bar very high bar. First of all, it should be holistic. You want to bring all of the data together. Incomplete data means you're going to get incomplete answers, right? It's like the analogy of where you touch your elephant from. It has to be of good quality, and on and on and on. And of course, in the last mile, you better have the right governance and controls around it because it can go crazy. And I think what has happened is that, look, let's be very honest, for us data practitioners, no CEO, and I sell data management stuff, but I'm in my job as a CEO. I don't wake up thinking, today I'm going to transform my data estate. I'm so excited about that. It just doesn't happen, right? We all get glamored by the UI, UX of an application or whatever it is, because that's how we consume information. But I think there is a genuine change that's coming because people are realizing that, good Lord, data quality is becoming a word at the boardroom. Governance in the context of automated Gen AI workflows is becoming a word in the boardroom, and people are realizing that boards are realizing that management can go wrong if they put bad data into models that are going to actually dictate their actual operational workflows. And it's not just a regulated industry question anymore. So definitely that question has gotten up. And look, the tagline we came up with is, I actually heard customers say that to me in a different way, and I'm like, they're struggling with it. Their data is not ready. I, as a CEO, want AI to be driving value, but the question I get is that, but what is the but? My data state is not ready. So look, I think as a data practitioner, this is what I'm hearing everywhere. I think I will always also say this, Naveen, and it's our collective job to also educate our customers. It also presents it's a big opportunity, but there is a challenge. The challenge is that people also sometimes feel like, so where do I begin? It's a complicated task. What do I do? It feels overwhelming. So I think I said that to my own team. It's our job. And I think you in particular, as you are in front lines talking and advising the customers to even think about the first line, how to think about it is help them not make it an insurmountable, complicated activity, but also break into, let's begin here. Let's take step one. Then we go to step two. Then we go to step three. And then how many steps you want to take. But look, there is no AI without data. And I'm hearing that loud and clear from boardrooms. I had like 3 of my large customers who wanted me to come speak to their exec staff and to their boards to talk about, they like Informatica. So, hey, can you come and educate my own team how to think about data philosophically because everybody's in a silo. So I'm seeing that, but I think it's our job to help our customers not get scared with the enormity of the task.
No, I think that's a fantastic perspective. Businesses will have to do this top down, but they all struggle. Large companies that have been around for tens of years, terabytes of data estate, spent millions building that estate, don't know how to get started. And I think it's a challenge that we see in here every day. We're trying to build some quick start processes around that. How do you lower the friction? How do you ease the fear, right? You're taking a step. It's a step in a longish journey, but the step itself has no risk. It's easy to build on.
Yes.
So I think we're absolutely proponents of that. One of the things that I was thinking about, the audience here is mostly technical, right? About 35,000 people in practice. This is going to go out to a larger team at Cognizant. And sometimes you get the question from our own teams, client businesses will be transformed. That is a given. It's not if it'll happen. It may be a matter of when it'll happen, but it's absolutely going to happen. How do you think AI is going to transform data management in the future, and how is Informatica navigating this tonight? You've done this well in the past, but we all know, right? Past is no guarantee for future. You've
So
made the ambitious in a good turn. How are you looking to keep doing this, to have AI transform the future of data management? Because I frankly cannot think of too many other companies that own that data management space like you folks do.
no, it's a terrific question, and I love that. Obviously, to the practitioners for the product, like guy like me, this is we can all geek out for a couple of minutes. Look, I couldn't agree more. And our philosophy has been, look, if for a quick step back for everybody on this call, the way we structure our product strategy is that we have a platform called Intelligent Data Management Cloud, the only platform in the world, by the way, operates at 110 trillion transactions a month. That's the scale at which it operates. SOC 1, SOC 2, ISO 27000 or FedRAMP, it's certified like that, all on one consumption pricing. On that platform sits our best of breed products, integration, app, data, quality, governance, MDM, so on and so forth, catalog, and they're all top right-hand corner, Gartner Magic Quadrant. And then coming to the question we asked, in the middle is the glue of it all, our Claire engine. That's our AI engine. And that's the one that we launched in 2018. Now, coming to the point, and what we did was that Claire is embedded in every product. Back in the ML days, it was doing all those things I talked about. Now, to the question you asked, I think as we come to the Gen AI world, I think that first of all, it's a significant opportunity. But the way we see it is for data management and for all of us who are part of the data management landscape is that we think of Informatica for Gen AI and Gen AI from Informatica. And let me tell you the difference between the two. Because we think of Gen AI in the context of copilots and GPTs. That's fine. And we have that. But remember, for customers to drive their LLMs and vector databases and their AI initiative, what do they need? They need ingested data, quality data, governed data, catalog data. So our core capabilities are needed for them to drive Gen AI initiatives. To do that even better, we're going to give them co-pilots and GPTs of our own. So there are two ways to think about it. You still need data quality to drive a Gen AI initiative. So in that context, first of all, what we did very well is that for in IDMC and our products, we do all the non-Gen AI projects. Same products we have supporting, they now support any vector database, any LLM, RAG transformations. So customers can, as you know, what they're doing is, hey, I'm still running a digital transformation project, but I want to start pilots on some Gen AI projects. We've seen customers do that. Same platform, they can do that. They don't have to go outside and create a separate architecture because that's expensive. That's more cost and it takes more time. And that's what we want to reduce that friction. So first, Informatica for Gen AI, we've enabled every product to basically be supporting all kinds of Gen AI capabilities, technology, tooling, so that it can drive those initiatives. And we're seeing that. We're seeing healthcare companies, pharma companies, financial institutions, tech companies use our app integration example to run a new workflow for business process optimization, a supply chain initiative, basically leveraging, they're basically training an LLM, they're using a RAG pipeline, using our connectivity to vector databases and all to drive those. Second is, now we're going to make their job easy. So we put clear co-pilot in every product. So every product Informatica has a co-pilot in it. So if you're a data management practitioner, by the way, to the 35,000 folks of you on this call, you can, I know a lot of you are enabled on Informatica. As you open up our IDMC canvas and go to a product, you'll see clear co-pilot everywhere. So as you start creating pipes, as an example, Copilot will tell you, will prompt you, can we help you? Let me just do it. Here's a best practice. Here, your productivity goes up. Second, and by the way, that we launched in 2023, right out of the gate. We could do that very quickly because we already knew what to do with Gen AI. In 2023 itself, we launched the private preview of Claire GPT. Private preview. We ran it for a year, and today, last year, we announced the launch of it. So GPT classic chat interface, Claire, sitting on top of our product. Literally, you can do plain English conversation with all of IDMC. So as an example, an MDM, if you have implemented MDM, you can start asking plain English questions. So imagine a business user now, after IT is implemented it, you can give it to them and they can start getting all the awesomeness of that operational MDM, which was still hard in the past. And as I stand here, let me kind of share with you a little secret that is not yet fully announced, but I'm going to go announce it here. We're waiting for Informatica World to, we do big announcements over there. And we basically are already there with our agents. I was in Toronto, yes, earlier this week at our MDM and Data Governance Summit. I gave a sneak preview of our Claire agents coming, and you will hear from that in New York in a couple of weeks. I have our data governance conference over there. Laddering up to Informatica World, you will have agents from Informatica, Claire agents, whether it's a quality agent, whether it's a ingestion agent, whether it's a modernization, whether it's a lineage agent. All of those agents will be launched this year. Obviously, we'll have a handful of them launched this year. And after that, you will see a massive agentic acceleration from Informatica. So we are headed down that path of Copilot, GPT, and agents so that we give the best options for all of our customers. You should be the first ones to take it, learn it, and give us feedback.
That is fantastic. I mean, that vision is exciting because we're seeing the progression the same way, right? Gen AI by itself is wonderful. Gen AI by itself is not going to make too much of a difference unless you apply it into a business process or a technology process. But then you have to make it easier. It cannot just be tech for tech. It has to be extended to the business. So yeah, I cannot wait to see what you folks are doing with the whole agentic layer, because I think that is the application layer that's been missing from AI. And I think that agentic layer is really what's going to get all of this up to the next level.
You know what I'm excited about in that, which will be a great opportunity for Cognizant. I know you and I talked about it. We have a large estate of on-prem customers that are dying to go to cloud. We've modernized a lot of them, but still there's a long way to go. And by the way, not just us. I also hear from customers saying, "Oh, we're going to modernize a power center to your IDMC cloud. Can you help us take the data stages of the world and Abinish of the world, because they don't have a path to the cloud?" And we can't do that because it's competitive products, but I know you guys do that. We are launching we are also going to be agentifying modernization, and that's become so easy. So modernization opens up, by the way, a massive opportunity for you, because it's a full business process transformation. It changes a full tech stack. It's not just the ETL tech stack, the whole tech stack changes. I'm excited that it will actually further accelerate that, which will be massive transformation for our customers and a huge business opportunity for Cognizant.
I couldn't agree more. Look, it's at the end of the day, it's going to accelerate transformation, which, as we've seen through previous, I don't know how many cycles of technology, right? Anytime you accelerate transformation, it doesn't stop. It just tees you up for the next cycle and the next cycle.
Yes.
So we can get that flywheel going. I think we have a tremendous opportunity collectively to drive change for our customers. Switching gears a little bit, and maybe I'll open it up to the audience after this. I still see leaders in large companies struggling. How do you balance AI adoption? There's the excitement to go deep into AI, and then trust and security, right? How do I make sure as an enterprise leader that I'm balancing both things out? What's your advice for companies that are trying to embed AI responsibly into their data strategy?
That is a difficult trade-off right now, and I hear that struggle, especially with large enterprises that are mostly regulated, and they also have the struggle that we can get it wrong, because there is this fear that we've not had that yet, but we may be one lawsuit away, and everybody runs to defense mode, right? Oh my gosh, now I have to protect myself versus accelerate. And we saw that, by the way, in the financial services sector in 2008, with all of the meltdown that happened. They went into tremendous amount of governance and controls, which took money away from innovation, and we don't want that to happen. Look, my belief is, and I was having this conversation at our data governance summit in Toronto with a bunch of our customers. And I think that was a top of the mind for them. I was talking to some banking and financial services customers. I think we have to help customers also in that. As people are piloting, there's a lot of pilots going on, POCs going on, and small scale. I still don't call them production. In my mind, production is enterprise-wide. Call it small scale production going on, right? People think that this whole trust, governance, all that category of things is complicated, big, slows things down, and has to happen when I am mature enough. Actually, it's the opposite. In AI, it's the opposite. Because if you get some of your early pilots wrong, you will never be able to get to big scale. So I was having this. So we have this philosophy on AI governance. AI governance is different. AI governance is all about accelerating your governance, your AI projects, not slowing them down. So I think we have to think about AI governance also in small scale pilot mode. Typically, governance has been a very big behemoth. Trust, all those kind of things. People think of everybody coming, control them. I think we have to educate. And this is something we are pushing with our own teams. And I don't think we can do it alone. We have to do it with you. Look, like you're piloting a use case, pilot an AI governance use case. One of the things that we do internally, and we are educating our customers to do, create a small team. In fact, we call it our, what is it? What we call it, the round table. We have 5 different stakeholders from legal, IT, and business to do nothing else but monthly check-ins. What are we trying to do? Without putting even any controls in place yet, so that we can help educate them. I think we have to help our customers get nimbler and put pilot governance modes in place. Otherwise, we're going to have a challenge later, and I don't want, none of us want things to stop down and innovation to regress. That's what we need to do. Nimble, small, piloted AI governance that then scales over time then versus wait for the big bang. Big bangs don't work, in my opinion.
No, that's fair. I think that's a realistic and a pragmatic take, right? So start small, but do something, and be careful. To your point, you fail on the first one, you've really dug yourself a deep hole. It's going to take you twice as long to get the second shot on the goal as the first time around. So I think that's good advice. There's some questions trickling in of it. Let me see.
Sure.
One or two that I trust my team to do this. The first question is, how do you see technical roles changing with technology advancement and AI coming in, and AI, the co-pilots that you spoke about, right, in IDMC? Well, a lot of the work is going to be done by AI. What is your sense of how technology roles and developer roles and senior technology roles will evolve over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, no, it first of all, it will change. And I think we will be doing a disservice, all of us technology people, to say, well, no, and it will be on the margin. No, I don't think it'll be the same. But I believe, first of all, I think it'll change. But I'll give you an analogy and the answer will come from there. I actually remember very well talking to Cognizant. This is like way back, the early days of cloud. And if you remember, when cloud came, the big promise of cloud was, well, it's automated, it's cloud. The software runs in the cloud. In a licensed world, you have to implement it. There's no implementation anymore, right? So what do you need it for? There's no change management. You just go rent it and you run it. And I remember very well when Cognizant, you guys actually, your cloud practice touched $1 billion. And I'm like, I knew that was not going to be real, what the promise of cloud was. And I had this long chat with them. I'm like, tell me what you do. And your answer was, because for companies, everybody implements Salesforce differently. It's not the same. And the business process is different. So people just don't understand. It's a very nice marketing language to say outside, but that's not reality. I think it's going to be the same for AI, where certain things are going to be automated. No doubt about that one. I think there will be 2 things that will happen. Some stuff will be automated and should be automated. I think if we fight that fight, we are going to be the silliest people in the world, because we can't even fight that fight. That cat's out of the bag. Very quickly, we have to look at 2 things. First, how do we move up the value chain? AI creates new things. AI creates more complicated things to do. Business processes are going to be completely redefined. The architectures have to be completely modernized. That creates a whole body of work. So we have to learn and upskill ourselves to the new, to do higher value things of even the existing stuff. But there's many more new things that are coming down the pipe that we don't even know yet. We are still at the very, and I think that has happened, will happen. It'll happen in a different way. I also think that to do that, we as technology people should get smart and learn to leverage AI to do a better job over there. So my suggestion on this one is, don't fight it. Somebody said that very well. The smartest engineer in the future will be the ones who knows how to leverage AI the best to do the job, then start competing with AI to do a job. Be that versus somebody else. That's exactly what I advise my own kid who's in college. I said, that's your future, not fighting AI for little things.
Folks, you heard it from Amit here. I think it's the ones that are going to be successful are the ones that use this capability to supplement what they bring to the table. Fighting it doesn't work. Ignoring it is a bad idea anyway. You get outdated, and pretty soon you get to the back of the line. So I think the move is to co-opt, to use it to enhance what you have, and use that to be more productive, to stand out even more and deliver more value for our clients. I think that's the way to go. I'm looking at, there's some interesting questions in here. Do you want a hard one, Amit? I've got some slightly tricky.
Hey, that's fine.
All right. So this one's interesting. My clients see the value, the strategic advantages of moving to IDMC, but there's still a hesitation about the cost, that differential that's involved. How are you folks at Informatica positioning IDMC, and how have you successfully addressed these concerns?
Sure. Great question, by the way. And I'll answer first of all, very candidly. Informatica is not the cheapest option for our customers, and we don't aspire to be the cheapest option. We serve enterprises, and enterprises have a very high bar. And by the way, they just don't want a feature because everybody can have a feature. They want a feature that, first of all, runs at scale. They also want a feature on a platform that supports all of the regulatory compliance stuff that comes with it. And number three, they want a massive customer success, customer support, all that backbone behind it, so that and when they have feature requirements that to modification, it can be supported. Enterprises need that, and they're willing to pay for that. That's who we are. So yeah, we're never going to be the cheapest. With that, we always tell customers these three things, and I still think that the customers don't fully grasp it. First of all, you honestly are only going to get the best products. We are the best product, and on a single platform which is running at scale at only one place. That's Informatica. First of all, you don't get these things. We don't sell the best products on a B platform or a B products on a C platform. That's not the case. It's a very rare combination. Second is, we absolutely understand large scale deployment and the partnerships with the likes of you and the hyperscalers. The deep integration with all of them are unparalleled. I mean, whether it's Microsoft, AWS, and customers are not looking for one vendor anymore. They're looking for large scale platform providers. We are a platform who work with large vendors like you, or with AWS or Snowflake or Databricks. By the way, like, just so all the audience knows, we are doing this amazing modernization work at JP Morgan. At JP Morgan, with Cognizant, supporting both their modernization to Databricks and Snowflake. And to give you some color, the product part took a couple of months at JP Morgan to be implemented. It took many months for their security team to fully validate and saying, yes, we can go into production. They put us through so much ringer. Third one is very important, where the cost part comes. Customers still don't understand. They think of, I'm moving a use case to IDMC. I'm moving, let's say, ETL or ELT to IDMC. With one IPU, you get every capability. You get ELT, ETL, app integration, you get governance, you get privacy, you get catalog, you get everything. So when you're going from an analytics use case to a governance use case to anything, you don't have to buy anymore. That IPO allows you to do anything. It's provisioned and licensed for you to do any use case. You can actually, if you implement, let's say, a particular analytics use case at a particular customer, you can immediately start telling them, hey, I can do the next use case for you. In fact, you don't have to go back to Informatica to buy anything. You have the IPUs. You, as Cognizant, have the ability to start the new project with them like tomorrow. And they've done the hard work. All the connectivity they did, let's say for an analytics project or a warehouse or a lake project, that is metadata rich. You can start running governance on top of it. Customers still don't, because they're coming from the old world. Oh, I go from analytics to governance. I don't have to pay anything more. I have it provisioned. Yes, you are. Yes, you have it. You got it. That is a game changer. And for other providers, you have to stitch it together. Their roadmaps never talk to each other. And who knows how many of them will survive. Here, everything is integrated in one pane of glass. So that's the differentiator. That's what we educate our customers.
So I think there's this overused phrase, but you do become that one-stop shop for the enterprise. To be able to just seamlessly, clients don't have to go through procurement, they don't have to think too hard. The platform capabilities are all available. They turn it on and they start using it. I think it's throughout speed, right? That is becoming the biggest advantage in business these days. How fast can you react to changing demand or need it? So, yes, I think that makes sense. Let's do one more question and then we'll change it up a little bit.
Sure.
Let me see what's here. Oh, this is one fun one. You referenced Informatica World coming up. You gave us a little bit of a peek preview into some of the agentic work that's coming up. It's being launched. There's also a lot of activity happening with the data and analytics platforms. You mentioned Snowflake, you mentioned Databricks. Could you talk a little bit about how you see Informatica working with them? It's not, I don't believe that it's competition at all. I think we're all going to enable each other in this. Can you share a little bit more about your plans to build on top of the work that you've already done with this?
Perfect. All right. So yes, I think rightfully said, we don't compete with any one of them. And the world is a gray. So today you can argue that somebody will say, well, I can code it on a Databricks platform and I don't need an ETL. Sure. I mean, by the way, it's such a big TAM. There are coders out there that you can code in that, but that's okay. But the reality is that how much can you code? And every infrastructure, if you start coding, we are a no code, low code platform. Yeah, by the way, technically you can code on Informatica also, but that's not our main go-to-market. So you're correct. We don't compete with them. That's not their core competency. That's not where they fight. Databricks and Snowflake are fighting with each other. And the reality is that they drive consumption for Microsoft, but Microsoft has its own warehouse and its own lakehouse that kind of competes with them more so than the ADF competing with Informatica's IDMC. Very, very rightfully. So that's how we see it. We worked very closely with all of them. We were the data integration partner of the year with Databricks last year. In fact, I published a big webinar with Adam Conway, the head of products, on our big partnership. In fact, that's what we were doing at JP Morgan. They are in the business of, hey, how can I move workloads from on-prem to cloud? They cannot do that without us. They cannot do that without you, and we are doing that together. Same goes for Snowflake, by the way. We were the first ones to support Snowpark, everything natively. So whatever we support natively on their platform. So the performance and scalability is very high. So these folks, all of them give us 1 year heads up of whatever they launch, by the way. Same goes for Microsoft, AWS, and GCP. You've seen at our conference, all of them show up. They talk about a partnership. They would not show up if we were competitors. In the world of cloud, everybody has a gray area somewhere. I never look at that as competition. Stay tuned for Informatica World. You'll see over there who shows up, and we're going to announce many of these things with our partners. So our roadmaps, in fact, the problem that is that we want to do more, and in some ways, we just can't 100% do all innovative work with them. That is sometimes more 3 years ahead because our customers also drive our roadmap. So absolutely, we deeply partner with them technologically. I meet with them. These are personal relationships of mine. Whether it's Ali at Databricks, I've known him forever. In the old days, it was Slootman, now Sridhar at Snowflake, Scott Guthrie at at Microsoft. It used to be Andy Jassy, then Adam came back, and now it's Matt Garman. I've known Matt Garman from his early days, or obviously Thomas, and there's a lot of changes over there. And then, I work very closely with all of them, and we will forever work very closely with them. We have a dedicated team. You guys see it too when we do sometimes a lot of three-way meetings with them, strategic. So fully invested in that.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. We're coming up on the end, and I'm going to try and change gears a little bit. We've heard your perspective on the world of data and analytics and AI and Informatica. I want to change it up. We've never done this before, Amit, so we'll see how it lands. We want to know more about you. Very, very successful CEO, led not a turnaround, but you really elevated the company's profile. It's not too many companies the size and scale make that successful switch from being on-prem to a SaaS company. You've done that. So I think there's a little bit of interest in knowing more about Amit, the person. Let's start with this one. This is one book that has influenced your leadership style.
I think, and I'll do a different answer. It's not a book. Actually, for me, it has been more observing other leaders. And genuinely, there are certain leaders in my life whom I've observed. And some of them are, by the way, historical leaders whom I have tremendous respect for. And some of them obviously are business leaders whom either I've observed or I've had the privilege of working with. I can give you some examples. For example, one of the leaders I've respected a lot has been, I was at Intuit very briefly, consumer company. I'm not a consumer guy. I had a detour in my career, but Brad Smith was the CEO there. He's left Intuit now. Amazing human being. An amazing human being. And I learned the art of, or the spirit of being humility. Even if you are, look, you're the CEO, you're the number one person in the company, but humility always grounds you. He was one guy. A person that, a lot of us who grew up from India, to me, another leader that I have respected and I've just found it amazing has been Mahatma Gandhi. Like a person who did not have any strength per se, the way we signify strength in the world, oratory skill of craziness or physical strength or an army, but yet he was able to move mountains by sheer conviction of what he believed in and action. So to me, he's another great leader that I have tremendous amount of respect. And of course, like some of it has been some people who are not necessarily famous, but they're part of our life, like my own mother. And I, she institutionalized, grounded me in terms of just hard work. Just like, try not to get so caught up in what the gains are, as much as we all want gains. There's nothing wrong with that. We work hard for that. But have you put in the work? Have you put in the work? And sometimes, even if you put in the work, the reward may not be there, but you should find the ability to be happy after putting in the work. And that's a hard one. So those are some of my examples.
Fantastic. There's some rich philosophy buried in that last example that you used. So I think, yes, it's inspiring for all of us. That's good. The most exciting AI trend that has you interested, what do you think is coming next in the world of AI?
So totally different. I'm not going to do nothing with it. I'm very excited about the kind of video generation and picture generation that's going on with AI. It's crazy. I was playing with some of the latest models. I'm like, wow, I can be now. There's an element of, by the way, I worry about that, how much artistic work can hurt the hurt, and I believe,
Yeah,
I hope that the trademarks and all of those things are allowed for artists. But boy, oh boy, the amount of acceleration of things that are very, very hard to do, that are now easy for us to do, is just amazing. I was just trying to create a video of some family stuff, and it's like, this is pretty freaking cool what I can do now. It's awesome.
nice. That's cool. Yep. This is also a good one. One piece of career advice you'd give your own younger self.
Ah, you know, with full humility, if my younger self was there sitting next to me, I don't think my younger self would even believe, and I'm here. I would pinch myself 100 times to be have this absolute privilege and luck and blessings to be in the role I am. So I'm absolutely thoroughly privileged. But I think the only advice, if I can give back, is that learn to explore more. Try to be a little bit more wide-eyed and wide-brained. I think we tend to be, when we are sometimes, at least in my setup when I was growing up, it was very stressful. A lot of other things were happening in my family life, and I was like so maniacally focused on, I want to graduate, I want to get a job, and I want to do this. And a lot of us are in that rut. But I think today's world is different. All of you are a little bit more privileged than in our days. I think having a broader horizon, learning more outside of your narrow world, actually will make you a far more rounded person. You are a much better person, rounded person, for the non-functional skills you pick up than the functional skills you pick up. In life, it will make you a much better person, a much better professional. The non-functional skills, like if you're going to engineering school, non-engineering things, other things. I think opening your aperture more to that actually will make you a much more rounded and a much better human being.
Fantastic. I mean, this has been very, very insightful. So before we wrap up, what's one key takeaway you'd like to leave with our associates, right? Everyone that's watching the session now or will watch the recorded thing. Something maybe along the lines of, how do we get better together? We've had a long-standing history, good, successful partnership, or maybe other things you want to share. What's the one key takeaway you'd like to leave the audience with?
I think, look, I'd say three things. First of all, we are a unique partner. Both of us have been here for a long time. Both of us have transformed together. Both of us understand the value of keep innovating for the next big thing. And I think that's very unique to two companies. And I do not want that to be lost in translation. We've trusted partners with each other, and we have a strong foundation. That's number one. We have this project that Naveen and our team kicked off, Project Jupiter. We named it Jupiter for a certain reason. Jupiter is the biggest planet, and we believe that that's what we want to aspire for, truly make it bigger. And I think the thing I'll leave you with is three things. You really can count on Informatica, your entire practice can count on Informatica to never, ever skimp on innovation. We're a product-led company. You can count on us for that. Number two, you can count on us that we will rise up for our customers, because enterprise customers are hard whenever the need is, especially when we are working together. If there is a need, we will go jump the hoops. Third thing is, for us, culture is very important. Our values are data. I know, so you are a very culture-rich company. D is do good, A is act as one team, T is think customer first, and last A is aspire to innovate. We're always going to be very values-led. Ultimately, it's a human business. We're all human beings. Software is not created by itself. Delivery doesn't happen by itself. We do it. So human beings matter. I believe in that. And that joint value system keeps us together. Don't forget that. We are human beings behind. We really care. We care for you. We care for our customers, and we care for our own.
That's fantastic. Amit. Thank you. This has been fascinating. You've been very, very open. I thank you for that. You've shared some really deep insights. And I think I can sense it. I still see questions trickling in. I can sense that you've energized the team to really double down on our partnership together. So I think this is good. Team, I want to thank you all for joining in. Hopefully you got value out of this. As you can tell, Amit's very passionate, very, very, very articulate at sharing his vision. And I think this has been a really fantastic session. So thank you. Stay tuned for our next Fireside Chat, and see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.